Hello, and today we're going to do a new podcast, and it's podcast number 19, and a lot of people around the world is listening. Actually 15 different countries. So we will continue to do this in English. And today I have with me, I'm honored to announce Jennifer you say Bonner. Yeah, I'm still trying to learn your name. From Winnipeg, Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And she's going to introduce herself. I will ask some questions. So we do a short introduction, then we get into the topics. So you were born in Winnipeg, in Canada.
Yeah, so I grew up actually outside of the city on a small farm with my parents and family. So we really grew up with a lot of outdoors in the natural space.
So you are an outdoor girl.
Yeah, definitely. We actually grew up without any electronics or any TV until I was 15. So when we were younger, my parents would say, if you're bored, go outside and play, or we have some jobs you can do inside. So we always were outside.
That's super cool. And that's part of why I got so interested to talk to you about consciousness, because you grew up without technology.
Mm-hmm.
So did you know that others had technology?
Yeah, I definitely recognized that when I would have sleepovers with other friends and they would have, a TV, then I would be glued to the TV, almost addicted to it. I couldn't keep with conversation. I couldn't look away because it was something so different than what I was used to.
Mm-hmm.
And I did recognize that others had it, but as I grew older, I realized it was ultimately the greatest gift my parents could have ever given to me.
Yeah.
Ever, yeah.
So were they very aware of it, that they will not use technology?
I think that for them it was how they grew up as well. They were both from farming families. So growing up, they were always outside on the yard. And I guess before that technological advancement in the 90s, they didn't have that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they just put a really strong foundation on play and imagination, and definitely the outdoors.
So what did you do when you were finished with school?
So
you did go to a regular school.
Yeah, so I did go to a regular school as well as an intensive dance training school my whole life. And once I graduated, I went on to take a dance university degree where I did contemporary dance.
Mm-hmm.
And after I graduated from that, I felt that my whole life had been set up for me. I had always predicted what the next move was, and it was the first time in my life where I had endless opportunities, but no idea where I wanted to go. I suddenly had it all available to me, but I felt overwhelmed with the choices and decisions available.
Mm-hmm.
And then through different things and upsets in my life, that's what really triggered me to travel to Southeast Asia on my own as a solo trip. So then once I finished school, I decided to go there for a month, which has now turned into...
So that jump into what we were talking about when we had the first conversation before we started this podcast, and I get so curious about you. So you went over to East Asia.
Yeah.
And then you spent time in the nature.
Yeah, and it didn't... That was not my intention when I started the trip. When I started the trip, I had saved money and told my parents I would go for 1, maybe 2 months if I enjoyed myself. And I had just, I was on my own. I was solo. So I thought I would just go and see how it went. I bought a ticket to Bangkok. And at first, it really started out as almost a bucket list travel. So I really checked off all the things. I saw all the temples. I went to all the major cities traveling around. But the more I traveled, the more time I spent longer time in each city instead of...
But wait a minute, what did they say when you were about to go alone? When you told them, I will show, you're a girl.
Yeah, they were definitely nervous about that.
Yeah,
for sure. Luckily, my father had done travels to Asia through work.
Okay.
So it was very comforting to know my own father had been there, and he also told me, no matter any situation you're in, whatever you need, you can always get something. There's always a store there.
How old?
I was 21 or 20. Yeah, 21.
And now you are
25. So actually, that 1 month travel has now continued on, and I'm still traveling.
So you're still traveling?
I'm still traveling these last 4 years. Yeah.
Last 4 years.
Yeah.
And then you went into the wilderness in East Asia, and you spent weeks there.
Yeah, so it really developed into that sort of travel. I just kept attracting that kind of style of travel when I was going on my own, because I had no route to take. So I went with a gut feeling. And that was a real time that I discovered a true sense of gut feeling and knowing when I was in the right situation or not. Mm-hmm. And it led me more and more into the nature. So my first time that I lived in the jungle, I was in the Perhentian Islands in the top east corner of Malaysia. Mm-hmm. And while I was there, I just found this youthfulness inside of me, like I did as a child, exploring the jungle, cutting open coconuts, swimming to other islands.
You did?
Yeah, all the time, every day.
And you were not afraid of sharks or
no,
fish?
And looking back, I think in a lot of these experiences, it was a lot of naivety. And I was really, some of these things, I'm like, I can't believe I did that.
Are you an explorer, or are you crazy, or are you just, what are you?
I don't know if there's a correct definition. I think an adventurer, definitely. But also I found this true sense of gut feeling, and it guided me throughout all of these travels. And when I felt like it was right, I would be drawn in this direction or deeper into the woods. Mm-hmm. Or when I felt like it was time for me to leave, then I did. And there were some road bumps along the way, of course, with every travel, but I found this beauty in it. And I started to notice the ripple effect, the butterfly effect in all of these situations I was in. Oh. And I started experiencing these most amazing things and spiritual connections that I would have never experienced before. And I realized that all those negative events before had to happen to either delay my travels, lead me to a different island, or lead me to where I was now.
Tell me about negative events. What is one example?
Well, actually, it was quite upsetting. I was sober my whole travels, knowing I had to take care of myself. But when I was in the full moon party in Thailand, I decided I should participate. So I decided on having 2 beers while I was there, and someone drugged me.
No.
Yeah, and I'm really, really lucky because I had set up beforehand that I was going to this party alone. So I met some girls in the hostel to make sure that they could take care of me. Mm-hmm. And yeah, they did the whole night. But that was hugely upsetting in my travels, because it was just me on my own, and I really realized that in that moment.
Yeah. But so you lost your consciousness in your body.
Yeah.
Wow.
Completely, like a blink, and I have no recollection. And that was upsetting, and it did definitely take me a week to emotionally recover. And figure out where am I going to next. And my phone was gone. Mm-hmm. That was also my connection home and my connection to further travel. But I sorted things out, and I met these amazing people on the island that built me up again, that made me feel whole. And then I traveled on the ferry, and on the ferry, then leaving the island, I met these incredible people that introduced me to a local Thai man, which I stayed with his family. Really? And then during that time, I got very sick and had to go to the hospital. And this local Thai man was able to go with me and translate everything for me and take me there, and completely took care of everything. And I don't know what I would have done had I not had his assistance. So that was the greatest gift, because I was, I would have never met these people who had introduced me to him had this not happened. And then further on, we continue to where I lived in another jungle in Malaysia. And that's where I met my current boyfriend.
Yeah.
Who led me to move to Norway.
What's his name?
Kim.
Yeah. Let's wait with Kim for a little mm-hmm. moment and go back to, we're in the jungle, and you were talking, before you went to the jungle, there is some bad experience, and then you had this spiritual experience.
Yeah.
Can you say something about that?
So this was actually when I was living now in my 3rd jungle in Indonesia.
Yeah.
And I was living there with a sort of a group. They call it the Rainbow Gathering. Okay. And it's a group of, at this point, it was about 300 people we were very deep in the jungle. You had to take 15-hour buses, local transport, hiking, and a local motorbike to get there. So it was quite off the grid. And it was cool. We all found each other. So we were trying to live off the land. We were trying to use bamboo to build up a kitchen, dig our own toilets, everything.
Yeah.
Supply firewood. We had bananas. We had cocoa trees, and we drank river water. And it was this really back to earth, back to nature feeling so grounded. And while I was there, I had this moment where I went alone on the beach and I felt incredibly sad. I was thinking of all my family that I hadn't seen in 6 to 8 months. And I went through all of them and I thought of my mother.
Okay.
And I realized I was every part of her being. She had birthed me. I had grown inside of her. Yes. When I felt heartache, she felt it. When I felt joy, she felt it. And I remember calling out to her. And from that space. And it would have been nighttime in Canada. And I didn't need anyone else to confirm it for me, but I knew I had spoken to her. And I knew she heard me. And I just had this amazing conversation and connection with my mother. And it was so wholesome. And then it probably went 3 weeks longer while I was living there with no internet or connection. And when I returned back to the normal world and life, I gave her a call, and it happened to be Mother's Day. And she tells me the story on this one particular date where I woke her up when she was sleeping, and I was calling out to her. But it was me as a child speaking.
Really?
Yeah, and she told me all about this experience. It was not I that brought it forward to her, and it was just so overwhelming.
That must be so overwhelming.
It was probably the most beautiful thing I've ever experienced.
That's a beautiful story.
And just knowing that we have this power within ourselves.
We have.
Yeah, and we so often forget that. And it's rare that we can really find that connection.
But I'm so amazed that you, 21-year-old girl, and you're a beautiful girl, and you're a person who doesn't look like you're going into the jungle. You did this. Mm-hmm. I'm just amazed about the story. How did you come up with this idea?
And that's the thing. It wasn't really like a goal of mine or a thought to do it. It kept being attracted into my life. I would be at a hostel and someone would say, "Oh, I'm going to this town." And I had nothing planned or to do. So I would say, "Okay, I'll go too." And so it would just lead me to these places. The only time I made a conscious decision really to stay was I was doing a day hike, and I met all of these hippies in the jungle with hammocks.
Oh.
And all I had on me was the clothes that I was hiking in. I left my luggage in a hostel lobby, and I decided to stay for 3 weeks. I never left.
That's amazing.
Yeah, until I thought maybe I should call my parents and tell them what happened to me. So that was this.
Have you always been like that from childhood? Or do you think the childhood made you like this?
I think a bit of both. I think that I credit a lot to my parents. Because as a child, they never treated me as a child, but a young adult. So they taught me a lot of independence. From a young age, I would make phone calls to the doctors when I was 10.
Because I have this feeling, I want to say this, for me, your soul is older than your body. Mm-hmm. Have you heard that before?
Yes, all the time.
You have, yeah.
Yeah, and I actually feel that too.
You do? And
I've always gotten along well with adults. Again, as a child being forced to
because
to
your
be in
story
those
is my mismatch here for all the listeners. Like, there is a young woman sitting in front of me, 25 years old, with a lot of experience. But when I look into your eyes and I see you and hear you, I feel a more wiser, more conscious person inside of you than 25 years old, if you understand what I mean.
Thank you. That's a huge compliment. I think that it has been many years in practice and in the making.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've actually gone through some personal health struggles back when I was 12.
Okay.
So
do you want to talk about it, or is it something you can share?
Yeah, it's kind of, I'm not exactly sure, but essentially I started out as stomach pain, and I really couldn't eat. And it went so long that my digestive system was failing me.
Really?
And not functioning. And we were investigating in Western medicine for a year and a half, doing tests and blood work and IVs, trying to figure out what and how. And in the end, we couldn't find anything. So it was this horrible realization at a 12-year-old child that it was in my head. And how can we work through this? And it was actually ancient Chinese herbal medicine and acupuncture that really saved me and helped me restart my digestive system through treatment.
But was it the depression?
I think
depression? How do you say it in English?
Depression.
Yeah.
I think it was actually more stress.
So you're 12 years old.
Yeah.
And you get hit by stress.
Yeah, but I was always aspiring I was always an A+ student. I was also doing a professional dance degree in high school at the same time. So it was very intensive, and I can't exactly explain why or how.
Did you try to be perfect?
Yeah.
Have you always tried to be perfect?
Now I'm secure in who I am.
I understand,
try my best,
but you like
yes.
the perfectionist.
Yeah, and I have to keep myself in check.
You have to.
Yeah.
So you're aware of it.
I am aware, and at the time I thought it was, why me? But now I've had all these years.
I think you're born like that. I don't know if you know so much about the natural energy work I'm doing.
Okay.
But there is 9 different kind of people based on 9 different kind of energies.
Mm-hmm.
And you expose your energy through your body language.
Right.
And one of those, which I haven't worked with you, but one of those is that they are the energy inside of the body goes toward beauty and perfectionism, likes beauty, like to be perfect, but can be judgmental to themselves, can be a little bit criticism.
Yeah, self-critical.
Self-critical.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to go too deep into this, but for many listeners around the world know that I'm working with this, and we are a group of people who are working with this. They will kind of recognize your way of explaining yourself as what we call a 1, natural energy 1, which means that you like beauty, which means that you take very good care of yourself, which means that you like beauty, which means that when you have a good time with yourself, can light up a candle and relax and be with the kind of source of creation.
Yeah.
And many ones, we call it 1, type 1, which I believe you have this energy inside of you, have a incredible talent to speak with others through time and space.
Mm-hmm. Very cool.
Mm-hmm. So through time and space, it's like they have another way of communicating with the source, with God or whatever it is. I don't know what it is.
Higher power.
Higher power is a good way to say it. And had this deep connection to other beings. Could be humans, could be identity. What do you call it? Identity. What do you call it in English? I'm stuck in my words. Anyway, other beings, like spiritual beings. Yeah, that's what I mean. Spirits. So, and then you met I'm jumping, Kim.
Mm-hmm.
What happened?
Well, the same fate happened for him too. He was doing a day hike through the jungle. Met us all there. There was about 12 of us at this point that had just accumulated. And he too felt this overwhelming sense of joy and in comfort and company there, and stayed as well.
Oh.
And then actually ever since that day, we've actually been traveling together. And it was not, we just kind of naturally kept going to the next place, and then now it's over 20 countries that we've been following.
20 countries together?
Yeah, that we've been following each other.
Wow. And you met him when you were 21.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're 25. So 4 years together. Or?
Yeah, I must have just been turning 22.
22. So it's like 3 years and 20 countries.
Mm.
So let's say that you get pregnant one day. And let's say that you get a girl.
Okay.
Let's say that she's growing up. And let's say she said when she's 20, 21, she said, Mom, I'm leaving now. What do you think about that?
You know, I would be very supportive of it.
You will?
Because I know, I'm realizing now how hard it would have been on my parents, but I recognize all of the personal growth that I've had in these 3 years.
Yeah.
And actually this feels longer in my lifespan than all of 4 years of high school or all of middle school. This feels, because you are creating memories by experiencing new things.
That's what you do. You recreate your own life actually by your new memory.
Yeah.
But what the new things that you experience, which will become a memory.
Yeah. And so I felt like I was experiencing so many new things. I was also learning new things about myself and about perspective and about being present. Because for the first time when I was traveling, I had to worry about where will I sleep, where will I eat tonight. Mm. And it was not about paying overdue visa bills. It was not about, I finally could unfilter all of the chaos around me and just focus on what I was doing in this moment. And for that, I think I got addicted to that, living presently in my life, whereas before I always was anxious about the future.
Yeah, I want to say something about how we met and about your presence, because that's something that really, really I get. And don't misunderstand me now. I get attracted to it, but not like a women attraction, but attracted to your presence. And Jennifer, you work in our restaurant, and you have been here for a few months. This is the second time because of the visa and things, and hopefully it will be many, many more times. But what's really, really hits me is when I see you walk around. And we work together sometimes. There's sometimes I'm a head waiter, and there was one night I really tried to see how much could you take before you kind of, and it doesn't look like you stop. You have this incredible presence and being that I'm so admire it, and I'm so happy for you that you own it and you carry it in your life. It's beautiful to see, and it has a huge impact on people. I think it has much more impact that you actually know.
Wow.
I see Birgit also. My Birgit is my wife. We are owning this place together, and she say it too. It's like it's so beautiful to watch. So I just want you to know.
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's really nice. So back to Kim again. So but he lives in Sweden.
He is from Sweden, but he's actually living in Norway now as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he said, do you want to come? We're having problems with visas. So he said, do you want to come to Scandinavia? And I thought, sure. More travel, more exotic experiences.
Have your parents been here?
Actually, yes, last year. And it was really nice to show them around and show them parks, so that now when I'm calling them and tell them what I've been up to, they have a place. They have a picture. Yeah.
What is the biggest experience you have had through these years when you have been traveling? What's the main thing?
Acceptance of self.
Oh.
Yeah. And again, being... removing myself to the jungle and removing yourself from exterior influences such as social media, photographs, or even a mirror, I found so much other qualities about myself that I really loved. Being on my own, I found I'm quite humorous. I'm quite positive. There was all these things that I never recognized or gave myself credit for. So I was finding a new love for that and for myself. So then when I came back to Canada and then none of my clothes fit me anymore, it didn't matter because I had all of this new stuff with me.
Oh. So that's the acceptance of yourself.
Yeah.
Interesting. How do you see your life in the future?
That is a very good question. And it kind of changes because my life changes so rapidly as well. But I would like to imagine myself working with children. I love children and I think they're the future of the generation. And I just want to give them knowledge and love and learn from them as well. And I would definitely love to live in nature. I hope to have a yard big enough that I can grow my own food. And I find that so grounding and important and imperative in someone's life.
It's an amazing story for a young body with an older soul inside. Do you do cross-country skiing?
I have tried it, but I wouldn't say I'm an avid skier.
And how about Kim?
I think he skis. I'm not sure about cross-country, but he skis a lot.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Because if you want to exercise a little bit, I want to invite you on my big, great walk that's coming up in the winter. And you and Kim should come and try one day.
Yeah, definitely.
And because we are going into the wild, harsh Norwegian winter landscape.
Yeah.
And you can take a train and you can come and you can be with us for a day, or maybe you can sleep over and have in a tent in a sleeping bag. We can organize it because I think it will be a extraordinary, interesting experience for you and him, of course.
Yeah, definitely.
Very nice. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Is there anything else we should tell the listeners? Some secrets about you?
Oh, that's nothing that comes to mind, actually.
It's okay. What a beautiful story. A young woman leave her parents, go to South Asia, into the jungle. That's amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank
you for sharing.
This. Yeah.